From the Schmoes No Network Studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Box Office Breakdown, where all the weekend numbers get chewed up, analyzed, and spit back in your face. And now, here's your host, the lovely Sarah Stratton, the diabolical Finstock, and every man's hero, J.T.E.
Illuminati.
Hello, Schmoeville, and welcome to Box Office Breakdown, your one-stop shop for everything that happened at the movie theaters this past weekend. As always, we are joined by the enigma known as Finstock, the engineer known as Jete, and I am once again, sorry boys, not Sarah Stratton.
No.
I'm definitely not Sarah Stratton. My name is Mark Ellis. I'll be taking you guys through the rundown again this week. And Sarah will be back next week. She is in transit, I believe.
Yes, she is.
She's back from Italy.
She was in the Betty Ford clinic, I think.
She was calming down and relaxing somewhere in Malibu. Now, boys, we had quite a weekend at the box office. Before we get to that, I just want to make sure you guys are alive after whatever your travels, your trials, your tribulations were this past weekend.
I heard you and Makuga were singing it up yesterday in Barney's Beanery.
I did some spots. I did some karaoke.
Nice. And what was that involved? Did it involve Journey? Makuga always sings Journey.
Makuga did not sing Journey because we both sang Build Me Up Buttercup together.
Wow.
Oh, together.
Yeah, as a duo. Sometimes we go up as a duo. We're a two-piece band.
Super heterosexual.
Here
This is very Maverick and Goose. I see like a Maverick Goose kind of thing going on here.
Why does one of us, spoiler alert, have to die?
Yeah.
Why does one of us have to die? Huh? Why are you going to sentence one of us to death and the other one to for the rest of his life he's going to be thinking about that moment? I will never think about Josh Makuga and throw
listen.
dog tags into the Indian Ocean.
No.
Makuga's not here right now.
No, he's not.
Be honest. Who's Maverick? Who's Goose?
I'm totally Maverick.
Oh,
I am
okay,
Lieutenant
wow.
Pete Mitchell.
I agree.
All right.
I agree with that.
I don't think you guys are confident in me being Maverick. Let's get to everything that happened at the box office this weekend, and boy, did we misfire, huh? Everybody, Jete got really close with his predictions last week, and as always, we're going to tell you guys what happened domestically at the box office first, then we'll go to the international numbers. We have a very special top 5 list involving some guy named Tony Stark, and then we are going to have our predictions for next week. Hopefully, we're a little bit more accurate than we were this past week. Jete did fine. We'll get to that. Here's the numbers. At number 5 was The Judge, pounding the gavel, just outdoing Denzel in The Equalizer in the 5 spot. At number 4 was Annabelle, $16.3 million. At number 3 was Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good. It was a really crappy day for that kid. $19.1 million. Number 2, Dracula Untold.
Yep.
$23.4 million. And at number 1, who had it? Not this guy, Gone Girl. Again, for the second week in a row, $26.8 million. Fun stat to keep track of at home. That's only a 28% dip from its opening last week. Plus, Gone Girl expanded into 240 more theaters than it was last week. So it's over 3,000 screens now. Meanwhile, Dracula Untold at number 2 didn't even hit 3,000 screens. So a lot of people like that name Dracula, especially around Halloween. Your guys' take.
Let me just say, I like to think I have my ear to the ground. I have my finger on the pulse of the people.
You're usually laying on the ground somewhere.
Yes, exactly. Waiting for a train. So basically, I really go by word of mouth. Everyone I knew, friends, family, people I ran into the street were talking about Gone Girl.
Yeah.
And I really had a feeling like this thing's going to be number 1 again. You guys all said I was a little crazy. Especially Finstock over here.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy, too, because I thought Alexander's a family movie, and it's going to come out. It doesn't have a lot of competition because Box Trolls was really the only thing trying to take that family dollar away. And I guess people just really are excited about Oscar time. I had the same experience this weekend because I talked to my sister and my mother, as I do every weekend. I'm a good boy. Independently of each other, they're both in different places in Virginia. They both saw Gone Girl.
Yep.
And everybody just wants to see this movie. I think word of mouth is starting to spread a little bit. Finstock, your take.
You know, I'm going to stand by what I said about this movie. I think it's a little uneven still.
Asking for your review of the film.
That being said, you know, it's getting those housewives and mothers are taking their daughters there. And you know, it's
yes. My mom and my sister didn't see it. We've already covered that.
They opened all the theaters near the jails over there. That's where the 240 extra ones are. You know, I think it's you know, it's going to be on track to be one of Fincher's highest grossing films of all time.
I think so, and I think that with this Dracula coming in at number 2, I mean, look, I saw the movie. I hope you guys didn't experience it as well.
Did not see it.
It's Universal trying to reboot their classic movie monster franchises, and Dracula was obviously the first one. That's the guy you want to lead off with, and he did not get on base as far as a critical reception goes. But look, $23 million. Do we think this number is going to dip from first week to second week?
Yeah, because I don't think there's anything coming out to counterbalance it. I mean, you got some like.
So you don't think it's going to dip?
You got some lovey-dovey films. You got a kid film coming out. There's really nothing else like it except for Annabelle, and that's already kind of come and gone.
Annabelle is not come and gone though, because Annabelle is still $16 million is a pretty solid take for its second weekend with a horror movie. I think that has a lot to do with October, people wanting to get scared. And I'm actually surprised Annabelle did as well as it did, considering the fact that there's a Dracula movie in theaters. I think enough people would see Annabelle and be like, that's the one that's going to scare me. Because Dracula, I'll tell you kids right now, and you can watch our review on schmoesknow.com, is that it was not a scary film, and there's only a couple parts that even tried to be scary.
Well, I'll say, when it came to the trailers, I don't think they were trying to hammer home that's scary. It was really like trying to make it like a big budget blockbuster, almost summer film.
I think it was more of an action adventure movie rather than a monster film.
It was what it could have been is a really cool origin story, both as the origin of a hero and then later a villain. And what it ended up being was a really 90-minute version of the first 4 minutes of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
But those first 4 minutes are awesome.
Or it could have been
in Bram Stoker's Dracula. They're great when you stretch them out to 90 minutes.
Okay.
Now, something that wasn't stretched out at all was Alexander and the Really Crappy Day, because that book that it was based on is only like 20 pages, right?
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of illustrations.
Wow.
It's perfect reading for Jeté. Or me, for that matter.
I was going to say, I never even heard of the book until this movie came out.
Well, you should have, because a movie called Liar Liar, I think, also took a lot from the book.
What?
The book came out before Liar Liar.
Really?
And then Liar Liar has a very similar premise as Alexander. Alexander did $19 million this weekend. Do you guys think that's a solid take for a film like that, or do you think it's maybe a bit of a letdown considering it didn't have a lot of competition?
I think they wanted more. I mean, I know the studio wanted more. And they were hoping it was number one, but obviously Gone Girl.
That's what me and Sarah were hoping for as well.
Without Kenny, the tiger, I think Kenny might have pushed it over the top.
He should be on the poster.
25 there. That movie's going to go down, and it's not going to make it.
I don't understand why
second week.
Steve Carell's being labeled as like this a family film. The last time I remember him doing like a family film was Evan Almighty, and that thing was horrible.
Little Miss Sunshine.
Well, he's also done Little Miss Sunshine, which is a very different kind of family film. He also is the voice of Gru in the Despicable Me films, Despicable Me 1 and 2, which are huge at the box office, and I think the studios think they count. I think those are real dollars.
But
it's not making Monopoly money at the studio.
It's not Steve Carell's face on the poster is what I'm saying. He's not selling that movie. His name might get the adults in there, but the kids are going for the Minions, and that's basically it.
You know what? I'm going for the Minions, too. Those Minions are adorable.
It's the first time a husband and wife duo, like screen duo, went against each other in a weekly thing in a long time, like Gardner versus Affleck.
Yeah.
Knowing Ben Affleck, I'm sure if they bet something, it probably wasn't dinner and a movie.
You think something else was involved?
Yeah, I think something else was involved.
Perhaps the swapping of marital bodily fluids. Thank you for bringing that up, Bob. Let's go to the international numbers now, because I guess we can touch on The Judge real quick too. We're going to get into Robert Downey's top 5 movies and his top 10 of all time at the box office. The Judge, is that disappointing, or is that every studio wants to make as much money as possible, but by the time the movie actually comes out, does the studio know that, hey, maybe it's not quite the Oscar film we hoped it was? It doesn't have that mass appeal, despite the fact that it's got 2 of the best actors of all time headlining the movie. Is this the take that they expected?
No way.
No way.
Everybody wants Tony Stark. I mean, they should have had at least one scene in a trailer with him like sitting on a toilet reading an Iron Man comic or something like that. Anything to get this guy out there. But I mean,
Robert Downey defends his dad accused of murder, and he reads Iron Man when he's taking a dump.
When you see, and the thing is, when you start seeing a lot of like him and his family, and then like talk about Iron Man 4 and other things like that, that's a studio doing damage control and trying to bury a movie because they know it's going to tank.
Well, see, I thought that was them trying to promote the film, because he was all over the place saying, I will do Iron Man 4, I won't do Iron Man 4, I'll do it if Mel Gibson is in it, and it just happened to be the week that he had a film come out. So do you think that was a studio ploy, saying, hey, you really got to talk about you being Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark so people are aware that The Judge is a movie that's happening?
I'll say no, because it doesn't matter what movie he's doing, he's going to get asked those questions no matter what.
Yeah.
Especially now with Guardians and Avengers is coming up. It's the number one question everyone's going to ask him. Yeah, they want to talk about The Judge, but really that's all they care about, because he's Tony Stark.
Well, his fans are young, and they know him as Tony Stark. Nobody really... I mean, people like our age, yes, we know him from Weird Science and Back to School and other things like that. But
You
I mean,
might.
yeah, stuff like that. But I think the only way Robert Downey Jr. does a movie when he's not a superhero anymore is he should do a prequel to his character in Tropic Thunder. I'd watch that movie.
Yes, and let me say, this movie...
That would be a very... They've never done anything with Tropic Thunder. They created such a universe with the agents, with Tom Cruise and Matthew McConaughey, and then these actors that are in these great movies, and they went off to Vietnam to make this movie. Is there ever going to be a Tropic Thunder, some sort of spin-off, something?
They thought they were going to do a Tom Cruise one.
Yeah, off the agent or the
Stand
studio
back
head.
and your face.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It could be really, really funny. You had a point, Chate.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to the judge, I didn't even put my top 5. I honestly thought the running time, which is like 2.5 hours, which is way too long for that kind of movie. And you're saying how they wanted it to be like an Oscar film. That's how they started off the advertising, and it literally, there was this shift where they made it more like a lighthearted, comedy about a family. And I'm like, that's not how you sold it to me the first time. So I think they kind of knew what was going down, and also didn't get great reviews when I think it premiered at Sundance.
Yeah, again, I mean, it was positioned as an Oscar film. It's opening at the right time. It just didn't quite hit that mark. Now, internationally, Dracula Untold, again, you put that guy's name on a marquee, people are going to pay to see it. A total $33.9 million from 40 different territories, which made it the highest grossing film internationally. However, Guardians of the Galaxy opened in China this weekend.
Oh my God.
And it is Disney's third best debut, over Iron Man 3 and Captain America 2 in the Chinese market. And then now you look at Gone Girl, which is earning $27 million this weekend on just over 6,000 screens, and that's a very nice international number. Here's what's interesting. Lucy, the Scarlett Johansson film, is finishing up its overseas run, and it ended the weekend with $2 million, a little bit over that, from 60 territories. The action film has grossed a total of $286 million overseas and a total of $412 million worldwide. Did you guys see Lucy?
I actually saw it this past Wednesday.
You see more movies.
I know.
I applaud you. He
really does see a lot of movies.
You really do love movies.
There's a bargain theater near my house that plays like $2 theaters.
Yeah.
And
that's where you have your ear to the ground.
I'll tell you something. I might see Dracula if it comes there, just because for $2 in the afternoon on board, I'll see it.
Well, it's crazy. But
Lucy.
The thing is about Dracula is the money it makes here is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
That movie is all about foreign dollars, and that's pretty much it. It's going to be a substantial write-off on the American box office.
It's like an hour and 24 minutes.
Dracula's a pretty quick watch. It's somewhere...
No, I was talking about Lucy.
Oh, Lucy.
Yeah, I was talking about Lucy. Is like an hour and 24 minutes, so...
It's pretty quick, but so is Alexander. Alexander's only 82 minutes, and so
true.
we'll see.
Wow.
I don't know if comedies translate better to foreign markets. I think action films and these big sort of blockbuster or something like a big headliner like a Dracula is going to do better overseas, or obviously Guardians of the Galaxy is going to do great wherever it opens. And later in the show, I cannot wait to hear Finstock's answer for what the title of Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day is going to be overseas.
Also, I don't want to discredit Luc Besson, who directed the film. He is really popular in Japan, China, and
probably
all
France.
over the world. France, obviously.
Yeah,
I would guess France.
He's really like a well-known director. You know, most American directors are well-known all over the world. He's one of the few who's an outside director who's just as well-known.
Now, before we get to Finstock's foreign film names and their changes and how humorous they can possibly be, I want to touch on this really quick because you brought up earlier, Finstock, that sometimes studios, they just look at American box office as icing on the cake because films are going to do so well internationally. And that's even true with Arnold Schwarzenegger now. And I hate to say it, your hero who is on the mug that you bring to the studio every week, despite our pleas to not, is Sylvester Stallone. Is that like you look at a movie like what they made together, even Expendables, they're going to do so well overseas that studios, is that what they're more marketing Dracula towards?
Absolutely. I mean, those honchos just want to get some steak and go to strip clubs and spend all that money. And you know what it does?
In that order.
You know what it does? It pays for their studio deals over there, you know. Over at Warner or Universal, and their place for their lot space and their furniture over there is basically what Dracula does in the American box office for them.
You really don't sound pleased with Dracula at all. I hope that you like Frankenstein's monster or the Mummy a little bit better.
And eat a box of Count Chocula and read the back of it, and that's all you need to know about Dracula.
Quick side note, Keanu Reeves is doing a lot of press right now for John Wick.
Yeah, very excited to see that.
It's me too.
October 24th.
And he just talked about the other day how hard it is getting the new Bill and Ted film off the ground. Because while it has a huge, following in America, it doesn't have a big following internationally, and that's why they're having trouble getting funding for the film.
That's right. And speaking of Keanu Reeves and Dracula, man, is he the one lead point in that Bram Stoker's film? But you know what? You guys go check that out and then come back and report to us. Before, without any further ado, Finstock, I want to get to the foreign film name changes in movies this week. Now, we usually do the Chinese market, but we decided to expand.
We're going to expand a little bit. I mean, I don't want to pick on the Chinese as much as I was. I mean, they're just phenomenal with the names, but there's other countries too that come up with some zingers.
All right, so what do we got this week?
Once again, it's 4 choices.
Okay. Now,
One
for
false.
you guys tuning into Box Office Breakdown for the first time, welcome. Please make sure you rate and subscribe to the show on iTunes and comment as well. Bob is going to tell us 4 movie titles. We have to guess the one that is not real. And these are actual names that they took from an American film and changed it to suit the Swedish language better.
Yes.
Is Swedish a different language?
Swedish.
Okay.
There's 4 different territories.
I'll make a note of that.
I'm using 4 different territories.
Oh, okay, wow.
Because the gold is from China, but this stuff is good too.
Okay. All right, you go with the country and then the title of the film.
From our friends from Sweden, there's a movie called Swingers. Obviously,
Yes.
everybody has seen it.
Great movie.
In Sweden, they call it Hey, Where Are the Babies?
It makes sense because Vince Vaughn calls the ladies babies.
I'm gonna withhold judgment until I hear the rest of these.
From Spain, The Pacifier with Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
A super tough kangaroo.
What?
Sounds like some sort of weird slur. Oh, these kangaroos running around in movies these days.
Is that what they call bald people?
From our friends in the Western Bloc, Germany.
Okay.
I think that's where it's at. Ocean's 11. 10 men and a black guy.
Speaking of racism.
Semi-racist,
Wow.
yeah.
It's Germany.
It's Germany, sure.
And from our friends in Thailand, The Water Boy. Dimwit surges forth.
Wow.
Okay, here's what I'm going to go ahead.
Those all could work.
I think I'm going to nail this week. I think that the Thailand film is definitely real. I think that the kangaroo one is also real. I think the Swedish film is real. I think that the 10 white guys and a black guy Ocean's 11 title is the one that is not true. Your guess,
I want that Ocean's 11 to be false, but I think it's true. I'm going to go with the Vin Diesel one. I just don't see...
A super tough kangaroo?
Yeah, why would they call him a kangaroo? It makes no sense.
Because he's carrying the baby on the pouch.
Oh, that's right, on the poster. So
There
I was
you
like
go.
going visual on it.
It's kind of a humorous, you see the poster and then you're like, oh, they're calling him a kangaroo.
All right,
That's kind of funny.
I'm going to say the last one, the Water Boy. That didn't sound right.
Dimwit surges forth?
Yeah.
He did, though.
I don't know about that.
Surged forth.
He definitely surged.
That being said, Mark Ellis, you are correct.
All right.
Yes.
Damn it.
I tried to fool you with the racial epithets, but it didn't work.
Well, you threw Germany in there, and I know why you threw Germany, because later on the show we're going to talk about what's coming out this weekend, and I know that you are very excited about the film Fury. Now, before we get to Fury, I want to talk about our top 5 this week, which is going to be the films of Mr. Robert Downey Jr. Now, look, you guys know him, probably a lot of our viewers know him primarily as Iron Man, as the guy from the Avengers, probably the best part of the Marvel Universe, or at least one of their best superheroes, but he's also an Oscar nominated. He's never won an Oscar.
He was nominated for Chaplin.
He was nominated for Chaplin,
Yes.
and he is revered as one of the greats that we currently have or have ever had.
That's recent, though. Back in the day, he had so many problems. He was really a washed-up actor.
I think he was always known as a prodigious talent. We knew he had a lot of problems, too, and he couldn't get clean for a long enough period of time to really get it together.
In the 90s, I felt like he was somebody that had a lot of potential and never lived up to it until his resurgence in the
Okay,
2000s.
now what's his career look like through the prism of Finstock, through the beard mask?
I mean, I thought his best role ever was in Back to School.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think he's
That
really
movie
good.
is phenomenal. If you
What's
kids
it
haven't
gonna-
seen Back to School, treat yourself.
Yeah, Burt Young was amazing in it, and so was
Sam
Dangerfield,
Kinison
obviously.
was
Sam
amazing in
Kinison, Sally Kellerman was in it. I like him as that quirky character. That's why I think he really worked for Iron Man. His quirky one-liners, his facial expressions. He always has his hair messy in these movies. That's why I don't think the Judge worked. I think he looks too studious. They don't want that.
All right, okay, I'm going to make you guys guess, because I don't want to just harp on his comic book films. The Avengers is obviously his top-grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
Then the next 3 spots are Iron Man films. Now, you
Makes
guys
sense.
can debate amongst yourselves. What order do you think the Iron Man films are in his top box office grossing movies? Now, you got 2 through 4. What do you think is...
I think it's 3, 2, 1.
You think it's 3, 2, 1.
I think it's 2, 3, 1.
You guys are both sadly mistaken. Iron Man 3 is number 2 at $409 million. At number 3 is the original Iron Man, $318 million. And at number 4 of his all-time films is Iron Man 2, which is just below the first Iron Man, $312 million. So nobody's crying over that spilled milk too much. Now, after that, we have the Sherlock Holmes films. Sherlock Holmes, and then Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows is at the 5 and the 6 spot. So what do you guys think rounds out the top 10? I'm going to give you guys 4 movies of Robert Downey Jr. to pick from. What do you guys think is numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10?
Man.
I think they'll probably be fairly recent because a lot of his other stuff didn't make a ton of money. It was just critically acclaimed. Probably that junk, The Soloist.
Yeah, I was about to say
The Soloist is not. Soloist is not in the top 10.
Due Date.
Due Date is in the top 10,
Due
cocking in at
definitely
the
there.
number 8 spot. Yeah.
Okay.
Well done. Finstock brought up another movie that...
Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder is number 7. At number 10 is The Shaggy Dog.
Oh, God. Are you kidding me?
Was he a voice in that?
Yeah, I think he's the voice of the dog, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I don't think he was actually on screen. I don't think he'd actually showed himself in a movie like
He's a
that.
tentpole guy. I bet you if Denzel was in the judge, it would have did a hell of a lot better.
That was a paycheck.
And at number 9, you guys are not going to believe this. At number 9, it's still in the top 10 of Robert Downey Jr.'s highest-grossing films. It opened to $8.8 million
Weird
way
Science.
back in 1986.
Weird Science.
Back to School.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
Bingo. I told
Wow.
you, this movie's fantastic.
It is one of the funniest films you've ever seen. If you don't know that much about Rodney Dangerfield or Sam Kinison, both two of the greatest comics of all time, you get to see Robert Downey Jr. in the supporting friend role.
Yes. And
It's the triple Lindy
Yeah.
of movies.
and Billy Zapka's in it, too.
Oh, Sam Kinison is awesome as the history teacher in that movie.
Oh, yeah, my God.
He's one of the best.
Amazing.
Man,
One of the best of all
Shmoes, watch
time.
that.
Yeah.
And when you spin it towards this week that we have to look forward to in movie theaters now, I've already seen this movie Fury. And I know you guys are really excited about Fury.
Yeah, it looks good.
Furry, the movie, right? You talking about that? Yeah.
It's opening this
Well,
weekend.
I'm really glad they did, a movie about this. People confined in like a small space wearing, these animal outfits, having sex with strangers and stuff like
What
that.
do you...
What?
Furry. The movie Furry.
Oh,
It's like where those people wear those.
You're talking about furries, which are people that like to dress
God.
up in full animal costumes and then have sex with each other.
Yeah.
The movie is called Fury.
Oh, the Brad Pitt tank movie.
Why would they make a movie
That
about
one.
furries?
They should. I think it's out. I've seen some documentary.
And if they were going to make a movie about furries, you do not open it against a movie called Fury. Or maybe you do. Maybe that's smart box office sense.
Oh, man.
Cross marketing.
Yeah, it's like when you have a big dinosaur movie open in the theaters, and then you have another one that just came out like direct to DVD, and people are like, "Oh, well, that's just as good as Jurassic Park. Let's rent this."
What did you think the movie was going to be about?
Oh, I know it's people in confined space. Aren't they like caught in a tank or something like that?
It's weird that you knew it was about a confined space, but you didn't know the rest of the story. That you thought it was a bunch of furry animals having sex with each other
My
in a
thing
tank.
is, it's like when they had an HBO documentary on it a couple of years back. Who's under there? I mean, it could be Brad Pitt or it could be like Gerard Depardieu or something. I mean, you got to just play, I guess, roll the dice.
You want to hear a funny story about furries? Is that a couple weeks ago I was in Seattle with our associate producer of the Schmoes No Main show, Copster, and we were doing the Tough Mudder up there for Edge of Tomorrow to promote that film for Warner Brothers, and we competed in the Tough Mudder. Did I finish? Was I great? Of course I was. At the same hotel, there was a furry convention. I am not lying to you.
serious
There was
right
a
now?
furry convention, and there were all these stuffed animals walking in, and we wanted to go, but we were all too tired from the mudder. We're just laying in our bed sore, and we couldn't get out to go see the furries interact with each other. That's a real thing that happened in Seattle a couple weeks ago.
What were you planning on doing? Was you going to treat it like a zoo? You're just going to watch from the outside?
It's a petting zoo. You can just literally walk up and pet people, and it's so weird to see the looks on these people's faces when they walk into the furry convention, because you're thinking, are they treating this as a joke, or is it really a way that they get aroused? Like you can't
It's a big fetish.
It's a weird thing because you just don't know. And usually they were walking in, it was one person in a full animal costume and then somebody else who's like the owner. Like they walk in just a normal dude. So I figured I could just go in there and be like the normal guy and just kind of hang around somebody dressed as a squirrel or whatever, and they wouldn't know that I wasn't supposed to be there.
It's like the key parties they used to have in the 70s.
Yeah, as long as you're with somebody as a key, you're golden.
You know what? One might have been Jennifer Gardner. Who knows? for losing the box office bet.
Hey, and Affleck could dress as Batman.
Yeah,
It would work perfectly.
It certainly does.
They have the kangaroo pouches on the parts for easy access. It's nuts.
Oh my God, we all got to do a Schmoes No Furry convention. So Fury's coming out this weekend. It is the Brad Pitt World War Tank movie, Finstock, and also stars Shia LaBeouf, Logan Lerman, John Bernthal from Walking Dead.
He's great.
It is,
so
and Michael
good.
Pena too. It is a fantastic film. Our review of it isn't up yet, so I'm doing a little bit of a spoiler as to what I felt about the movie. I loved it. Some people aren't giving it quite the Oscar buzz.
Yeah, I've heard of mixed things.
It's David Ayers. I mean, he did Training Day. He did Sabotage. I think?
Sabotage.
He did Sabotage with Schwarzenegger, which I'm probably doing well overseas. But, you know,
Of course, I think he's getting better. I mean,
he did End of Watch too,
End of
which is
Watch.
a fantastic film.
Brooklyn's
does very
Finest.
well. I'm just concerned about they're giving him a lot of money now to do this. This is a bigger budget movie. I think it was $80 million. Great casting though. I mean, Shia LaBeouf really got into the role. I don't know if he's playing crazy or he's really crazy now. I'm not really sure.
That's everyone's
I
asking
mean,
that.
you know, I seen him the other day at Tender Greens over on Ventura, and he was just like eating a salad alone, like looking like really creepy.
You know what's really odd about that is that I saw him in that same area about a month ago at Jersey Mike's, and he was just there hanging out by himself. He looked like the most normal dude in the world, though. You know, he didn't look like the guy that used to wear a bag over his head.
He's wearing like this. He's wearing these like tight black jeans. He's always photoed in, and he's like these gray camouflage, like sort of like saboteur, like G.I. Joe boots, and he was just eating it with a giant beard, and he like was putting pepper on everything, and I'm like, this guy's a nut.
Here's what I think is Shia LaBeouf's problem. I think that he gets really nervous about how he's going to be received when a movie opens. And I think that because you saw the same thing with Nymphomaniac when he went crazy, or the Transformers when he has these problems on set. It's always when he's got a movie that's about to come out. So I think that he just gets really in his head about how am I going to be received? What's going to happen? Are people going to like me in Fury? Are they going to like this different turn? And so then he just internalizes it. So the next time I see Shia LaBeouf at Jersey Mike's, I'm just going to walk up to him. I'm going to put my hand on his shoulder. I'm going to say, hey, pal, it's not your fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
He's one of those actors who loves the process of making a movie, but hates the process of promoting it and going on and all the red carpets. He's one of those actors like Daniel Day-Lewis and stuff.
Well, the crazy part
I'm not
about
saying he's that good.
No, of course.
Don't
Well, the
get
crazy
me
part about
misspoken.
Take caution in your tone,
Not-
Commander.
Just saying, he's one of those guys like Harrison Ford hates doing.
He'll get you in Tender
press
Greens.
stuff.
He's great in the movie, too.
He didn't take a shower the whole production. He pulled out his own tooth. And he was like, the makeup lady was like putting scratch on his face. He's like, you want to see scratches? And started like scratching up his face with like a little pocket knife.
You know what? It's Finstock, but it's also Shia LaBeouf, so we really don't know what's true and what's
The only
mockery.
the only person on the set who wasn't pissed off about him not taking a shower was Brad Pitt, because he doesn't take them either, apparently.
Brad Pitt doesn't need to take a shower. That guy is a handsome man. And what is he, 50 now? I think he just turned 50.
Yeah.
It's incredible. How do we think Fury's going to do at the box office this weekend, boys?
I think it's gonna do good. I mean, listen, Brad Pitt will bring him in.
I think
It's proven.
there's tanks in it for a reason. I think it's gonna.
And there's no furries in it for another reason.
I wish. A tank's gonna tank, but it's gonna be number one.
Yeah, well, what
But
do you
it's
mean it's
not
gonna tank?
It's not gonna make the money they want.
So you think it's just an overall down
soft
weekend
number one,
for the box office?
Soft number one.
Okay,
I
but
don't
then
think I don't think the studio's looking for huge numbers. They want decent numbers.
yeah.
This is not a huge number kind of film.
This will be lucky to crack 65 million domestically.
Now you have this movie, The Book of Life, that's also coming out. It's an animated film, and
yeah.
it's got some big time vocal talent, such as Channing Tatum in the movie. How's that going to do?
I saw the footage at Comic-Con and I thought it looked pretty. I was pretty surprised. It actually looked really interesting.
You were
different.
a little loopy at Comic Con though. We
Yeah,
really
I
put you
was-
through the ringer
Yeah,
there.
I
You're
thought it
a
was
trooper.
Acid Trip, and the movie plays a little bit like Acid Trip. So, but no, visually it looks great. It's it's about the Day of the Dead, which is like this Mexican holiday. So it has a lot of undertones, that culture, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it glorifies Mexican heritage. You should be happy about that, right?
I'm not Mexican.
Why would he be
I
happy?
thought
He's
he was
not.
Mexican.
I'm Ecuadorian.
Oh,
It's totally
it's,
different.
oh, yeah,
South
it's
You're half Ecuadorian
half Ecuadorian.
and half.
Mexican.
I'm mostly Irish.
So you got North American.
And South. I'm a full American. I think you guys are like halvesies. You guys are
You think
halvesies.
we're
He's
half
definitely not
American?
Mexican.
I got North and South. You guys are
He's
just
definitely
Northeast.
He's definitely not Mexican because he didn't see Dracula this week.
True.
It did very well in Mexico again
Yeah,
this weekend.
of course it did.
The Best of Me also opens. I believe it's a Nicholas Sparks film. That is now again. I think that even a lot of women who this movie is catered towards by this point are like, that you're trying to get me to cry. You're gonna have some sort of love story. There's gonna be some sort of monkey in the wrench, and then we're gonna throw a disease in the last 30 minutes just to make everybody weep. Is that gonna be the top one of the box office?
Diseases are fashionable now in movies.
It's the best of me, but we're probably going to see the worst of people in this film as well.
20 Ebola movies in like the next 2 years, probably.
I mean, I've seen no marketing for this film. I have not seen a trailer, a commercial, and I go to movies a lot.
You go to movies a lot, but you also...
I have not seen a trailer for this movie.
But you, like all of us on this panel, we're very interested in athletics on TV. That's primarily what we watch, and so you're not going to see a lot of the best of me marketed in that on those stations. Like ESPN, you know, isn't going to have that in between their Sports Center coverage.
I'm not watching Lifetime very often.
Or The View.
Well, let's get to it. And I think we both watch Lifetime is more than we would care to admit. Let's get to our predictions then, boys. What do we think is going to be the top 5 of the movies this weekend? Now, who won last week?
I dominated.
JT won. So now you have won 2 weeks. Yes. Finstock has won 2 weeks.
Yes.
And Sarah has won no weeks.
Zero.
Yeah, 0 weeks.
Okay, well, don't worry,
Sarah.
Jacksonville
Jaguars of the movie prediction.
Don't say that yet. I'm playing for Sarah again this week, and I apologize. I went 1 out of 5. Last, I did get the judge right, and this week I plan on going 5 out of 5, but I will defer to you guys. What do you think is going to be the top 5?
I'll start off since I was number 1 last week.
Wow.
I'm going
you have the honor.
I'm sticking with Fury. Number 1.
Okay.
Because I think Brad Pitt's going to pull it in. Just like Ben Affleck pulled in an audience for Gone Girl, this first week is going to do the same thing for Fury. Number 2, I'm going to go Book of Life. I think the kids' films, I don't think everyone really wants to. I mean, it's one thing when you have a live-action kids film, but the animated is what really brings those kids out. And I'm sorry, it is.
You guys are the 2 people I do not want to see at a kids movie, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys walking in together, sitting amongst kids, is something that I think you could call Child Protective Services over.
Immediately.
Yeah. Then I'll say Gone Girl. I think it's going to fall off just because these 2 big films are coming out. Number 4, I'll go Dracula. I think it's going to have a big drop off just because of word of mouth. Even though it did get a pretty good cinema score, but no one I know that's seen the movie likes it. So I got to imagine it's going to fall off. And I'll end it with Alexander, which I think is going to take, it's going to take the biggest fall because of Book of Life is coming out.
Okay, but it only made $19 million at the box office this week, and you got
it hanging
on.
That's true. It's
to number 5.
It's going to hang on number 5.
Finstock.
Interesting. Yeah, the Brad Pitt tank movie. I wish it was the other,
If it was about furries, it would definitely be number 1.
But oh my God, it should be. A scary furry movie would be great.
It sounds like something that you're actually like interested in because look, let's face it, you wear a beard mask. There's parts of you that likes costuming anyway, so maybe this is the next evolution. Maybe next year by this time you're just walking around in a kangaroo outfit the whole day.
It's very possible.
You could dress up as Kenny the Down syndrome tiger.
Oh my God, you could dress as Kenny the
Then I'll watch The Pacifier in Sweden. The guy with the super kangaroo.
What's America watching this week?
I think it's gonna be Fury. Like I said, soft, not really too soft, but it about 28 million, I'd say. Maybe 28, maybe 26. You got the Book of Life. Probably it'll crack 22 because all the Mexicans already seen Dracula, so now they're just going to go see this.
They have all seen Dracula. It did very well in Mexico.
Gone Girl.
Okay.
At number 3, probably about 17. So it'll probably dip another like 35 to 40%.
Okay.
Dracula Untold probably is going to be number 4 at 12, maybe even 11. And I'm going to go with the Scary Doll again. I think this movie can do this again at number 5, probably roughly $9 to $10 million.
We don't ask you to actually quote the exact numbers it's going to make, but I appreciate you making the extra effort and making us all feel like you know exactly what's going to happen. And maybe he does know what's going down at the box office. I think both you guys. I think y'all are mistaken. I think that the 3 movies that are opening this weekend are going to take the top 3 in some spot. I'm going to go with The Book of Life.
Wow.
At number 1. I think, and that again, this isn't me. This is Sarah guessing this. So if please aim all your hate mail towards
so Book
her.
of Life number 1.
So the Book of Life is going to be number 1. I think Fury is going to edge out the Best of Me at number 2. So I got the Book of Life, then Fury, then the Best of Me. Then we're going to have Gone Girl, and I'm going to put Alexander at 5. I think Alexander is going to jump above Dracula Untold because horror movies just do not do well their second weekend, especially when it's a really bad horror / action / reboot. And you know what? It's none of
Also, let's not forget who's behind Book of Life, Guillermo del Toro. My favorite guy to pronounce.
One of your favorite names.
When that guy's behind the film, I mean, it's definitely going to help it up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe if Dolph Lundgren makes an appearance in it.
I think that you really want to see Sarah wear this mask.
Because now if Sarah loses...
Yeah, she wears the mask.
What, she has to be down...
Well, they were saying...
It's whoever gets to 5 first, right? And you're at 2 already.
Right.
And Sarah's at none, so...
Yeah, and doesn't look like she's going to win this week either with the picks that you have.
I think that I'm pretty confident in these picks.
Do you want her to wear a mask?
I was last week. I wouldn't hate if she wore the mask, but it'd be weirder to see you without the mask than it would be to see her with the mask. That is all the time that we have today for Box Office Breakdown. We want to thank you guys for being great fans of the show, and everybody out there in Schmoeville, make sure you guys subscribe to the iTunes feed, rate and comment on there, and like our Facebook page. You guys are currently involved in that.
Yes.
Yeah, we try to post
Great
as much
promos.
as we can. I like to brag whenever I do good.
There you go.
That's what I use it for.
And as always, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Schmoes Know podcast, as well as the main channel, Schmoes Know, right there on YouTube. For Mr. Bob Finstock, for Mr. Jete, the Enigma, the engineer, I am merely Mark Ellis. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Box Office Breakdown. Sarah will probably be back next week, and if not, you'll probably see this ugly mug again. See you guys soon.
From producers Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and the entire Schmoes Know Network crew, we would like to thank you for listening to Box Office Breakdown. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness in stores now. To watch or listen to other Schmoes Know Network episodes, get movie news, and join the conversation, be sure to visit schmoesknow.com. And don't forget to rate and review this show on iTunes. I'm the Pit Boss, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes Know.